Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for an unprecedented behind-the-scenes celebration of television history. Tonight, we venture into the heart of working-class America, into the living room of one of television's most beloved families, and into the emotional crucible that defined a generation. After 17 seasons and a staggering 343 episodes, the Connors have said farewell for good, and they did so without the presence of the woman who once stood at their center. That's right, Roseanne Barr's character, the indomitable matriarch who made this family name a household staple, remains absent from the final farewell. But make no mistake, this finale wasn't about absence. It was a triumph of resilience, of storytelling ingenuity, and of honoring a legacy while forging a new path forward. Imagine, if you will, the scene. The camera pulls back to reveal the humble Connor front yard, awash in the golden glow of a late afternoon sun, as Dan Connor, portrayed with gruff warmth by the incomparable John Goodman, stands before a congregation of family and friends. There behind him looms a simple headstone, bearing the name Roseanne Connor, a reminder that life in Lanford, Illinois has never been easy, and that love and loss walk hand in hand. Over his shoulder, the sprawl of the backyard where so many family battles and barbecues have taken place. Before him, Darlene, Jackie, Becky, and the next generation of Connors gathered in a circle that has grown to include spouses and grandchildren, all anchored by the memory of the woman who kept them grounded. For nearly 2 decades, Roseanne Barr's blunt humor and unapologetic honesty shaped the Connors' identity. When her off-screen controversies led to her departure in the wake of those ill-fated tweets that nearly toppled the entire revival, the creative team faced a crossroads: end the series or reinvent it. They chose reinvention, and the Connors was born, picking up the pieces of shattered expectations and weaving them into a tapestry of grief, determination, and enduring love. In that final hour, executive producers Bruce Helford, Bruce Rasmussen, and Dave Caplan re-entered the crucible one last time, determined to give Dan and his brood the closure they deserved without betraying Roseanne's memory. They recalled the audacious twist of 2018, the Newhart resurrection, in which Dan Connor re-emerged alive despite having been declared dead in the original 1997 finale. That reversal, they agreed, taught them that the Connors' narrative rules were elastic, but only if they served the story. Resurrecting Roseanne now would have felt like a cheap parlor trick, a rug pull, as Rasmussen put it. So instead, the writers chose to honor her absence, to let her echo through the finale without her physical presence. The catalyst for the finale's emotional arc was pure Connor destiny. Dan's battle with the pharmaceutical giant whose opioids had driven Roseanne to overdose. That grim corporate courtroom set provided a microcosm of the family's larger fight, small town, hard-working, up against the faceless forces that threatened to destroy them. The producers deliberated long on the settlement amount, debating whether Dan should walk away with a windfall or a pittance. In the end, they settled on $700, an amount so laughably small that it was almost cruel. But it was also perfect. A reminder that the little guy doesn't ever win, really, as Helford said. And that for the Connors, true victory lay not in a fat check, but in the strength of their bonds. Picture the courtroom. Dan, stoic beneath, his rumpled work shirt, listening as the judge intones the sum. Behind him, his lawyer, a bushy-browed everyman, shrugs apologetically. The boardroom hush is broken only by the dull thud of that $700 verdict. Later, gathered around the kitchen table, Dan and Louise plan to spend the entire windfall on a single extravagance, a massive pizza party. The camera lingers on Dan's half grin, the kind that says he knows this isn't wealth. It's a lifeline, a moment of normalcy, a night of laughter amid mourning. Equally poignant is the foundation of the finale's closing montage. Dan leading his daughters, Darlene, Becky, and Jackie, to Roseanne's grave. Each has found new love since Roseanne's passing. Darlene with Ben, Becky with Forrest, Jackie with Fred. Spouses who fill the void left by that shared loss. They lay flowers, they speak aloud their convictions that Roseanne's work here is done, that her family stands on solid ground. We always said if the kids were alive at the end of the day, we did our job. Dan whispers, echoing a line from the original series. I think we've done better than that. Then comes the coup de théâtre. John Goodman, as Dan Connor, steps through the fourth wall. The actors around him freeze in mid-gesture as he turns slowly, eyes glistening with tears and wisdom. I'll face us, the audience that has grown with him for 17 seasons. And in that hush, he offers a benediction. Thanks for letting us into your home for all these years. We've laughed with you, cried with you, and we hope we've done right. By your own families, it's time for us to say goodnight. Goodman's voice, gravelly and warm, resonates across the empty yard. A final "Hello, America, Goodbye, America," and a masterful nod to television's most celebrated fourth wall breaks. In crafting this ending, Helford, Rasmussen, and Caplan drew on the deep well of sitcom history while remaining fiercely protective of the Connors' soul. They refused to disrespect Roseanne's memory. No cheap jokes, no sudden resurrections, only a heartfelt tribute in narrative form. We wanted the finale to honor her, Caplan reminded us, and honor it did, in quiet grace and understated devotion. The cast too lent their hearts to this farewell. Sarah Gilbert's Darlene, matured now into a mother and writer, stood strong beside her father, the words "thank you for showing us how to be brave" etched across her grief-streaked face. Lacey Gorenson's Becky, once the shy teenager on roller skates, shone with newfound confidence as she placed a single daisy atop the headstone. Laurie Metcalf's Jackie, ever the family's emotional rock, cracked for the first time as she choked back tears, reminding us that even the toughest among us need a moment of release. And Michael Fishman's DJ, now grown with graying hair, stood quietly at the edges, the living link between the original Connor brood and this resilient new clan. Behind the camera, the showrunners recounted no small tension as they balanced heartbreak and humor, ensuring the final script would never slip into melodrama. They labored over the precise moment when Dan would break the fourth wall, worried that it might jar viewers. But the result was so achingly human that it felt like the only possible way to say goodbye. Dan's always been our stand-in for the viewer, said Helford. He's the everyman. When he talks directly to the audience, we all hear him. But the finale's genius lies not only in its emotional beats, but in its thematic symmetry with the original 1997 finale. Back then, Dan died in a freak accident. The revival undid that, only to pivot now on Roseanne's death. It's as if life has come full circle. The matriarch falls, the patriarch mourns, the family endures. And through their love and persistence, the audience is reminded that home is a place defined by people, not by perfect outcomes. As we reflect on this landmark episode, consider the broader impact. When Roseanne Barr's tweet severed her from the show she built, the network faced a choice: fold or forge on. They forged on, trusting the Connors' authenticity would carry them through. And carried them through they did, racking up 7 seasons, solid ratings, and a fan base that rallied around a family who felt real because they were flawed, angry, funny, and loving. This finale is the ultimate vindication of that gamble. A story of redemption, not just for Dan, but for an entire franchise that weathered controversy and emerged whole. Of course, fans have already begun dissecting every line, every tearful glance, every spring of triumphant music that played as the credits rolled. Social media buzzed with theories. Did Dan's small settlement foreshadow a move back to backyard lawn mowing? Will Louise's DOJ career finally take off? Does Darlene's budding book deal portend a spin-off? And of course, the evergreen question: could there ever be another twist, another revival? Perhaps a spin-off focused on the next generation? But for tonight, let us bask in this moment of closure. Let us carry forth the Connors' final message. Life may knock us down, death may take those we love, but family, real family, is forged in shared laughter, shared sorrow, and the unwavering knowledge that no matter what, someone has your back. Thank you for joining us for this deep, heartfelt, and thoroughly sensational retrospective on the Connors series finale. From Dan's $700 verdict to his tearful soliloquy, to you, the audience, this has been more than a television show. It's been a mirror to our own battered, beautiful lives. So as the sun sets over Lamford, Illinois, and the Connors head off into that good night, remember, every ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning. good night, and may your own family gatherings be filled with as much love, laughter, and resilience as the corners have shown us all.